All right, everybody, let's get a little comfortable. I think we are in it for the long haul because 100 Thieves Academy clapping back in game number 2. But hey, they did it in pretty fast fashion, giving us a sub 25-minute game after that last one. So hey, they took our advice, close out earlier. I believe, Tim, that was you saying that, you know, maybe play a little more calm, but then Joshi adding on, but still be proactive. And I think that's exactly what we saw from 100 Thieves this time around. But the biggest thing that we identified as kind of a difference maker is that it wasn't necessarily 100 Thieves Academy getting accelerated in the early game. So Joshi, talk me through what the early game meant for 100 Thieves overall.
The biggest thing that we saw here, right, is they have a bunch of scaling elements to their composition. You have the Gangplank, Rise, and Ziggs, all of whom are more happy in the mid and late game than they tend to be early on in the game. And, you know, for the first 15 minutes, we were pretty darn close in terms of gold. Yeah, we had some kills, traded back and forth. Kenvi, you know, missed a Q on a blind target here, and then immediately after followed it up with a sick angle in order to find the kill onto Harry. But it ultimately just led to a situation where neither team was coming out with a big advantage, which I had previously identified was probably going to be in Team Liquid's favor.
The side lane plays from 100 Thieves Academy, as we see again here, this was the big difference maker. Last time around, it felt like individual performances, specifically from Ryoma, but now they have this comp that can make these side lane plays. You're highlighting the Zig. Something interesting to note is 100 Thieves really keeping TL on their toes with some of these picks. TL couldn't expect the Cassiopeia in last game, and 100 Thieves have banned Ziggs in their last 10 games throughout the regular season and even in their first quarterfinals playoff run. But now picking it up here, and I think Luger having a great job. And Tim, we could see exactly what their comp could do and how hard it was for Team Liquid to actually answer.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of benefit to having the Rise able to go into the side lanes as opposed to last game. Team Liquid had the Nocturne, so just the greater map mobility on the 100 Thieves side this time around. I think there was also a really interesting set of circumstances in the jungling early on, where this time around Armeo had the Olaf, who could clear really fast, and they wanted to use that to get a hold of the game and get control. But you know, both teams trying to hit mid with that and play fast into it. But 100 Thieves, I think, skirmished a little bit better, and that's where Kenvi kind of started rolling. And then, yeah, later on, you just had like when a Ziggs is able to do that to you, and you know, you're just behind, and you've got an Olaf who's behind, and you've got a team as a whole with that style, like an Olaf trying to push up two solo laners that want to then be skirmishing all around the map and playing the side lanes, but you didn't get ahead off of that like they hoped they would. That became really difficult for the Team Liquid side, and I think there were some pretty good attempts to get back into this, but it was just, you know, pretty hard for the Team Liquid Academy comp for sure to fight from a deficit.
I think their composition also didn't necessarily do them a lot of favors in that regard, right? You have a couple of divers between the Camille, the Olaf, and the LeBlanc, but they don't necessarily do it in such a way that creates a front line that Jan can really play around. And while there's not super heavy dive coming out from the 100 Thieves side, there's still a Rakan, there's still a Lee Sin, and I've said this a lot, Ziggs kind of counts as a diver in some ways because of how accurate, how consistently he can hit people with the Mega Inferno Bomb. And even though he's not physically present there himself, he's still going to be doing 6,000-8,000 damage to a single target pretty much every single time without a whole lot of counterplay. So Jan's job was really difficult in this game. And considering how much gold 100 Thieves were able to pick up in the mid-game based on their tower priority, it was very difficult for Team Liquid to mount an effective attack.
And the plan from Team Liquid, it seemed, was stacking the dragons. They were giving up a lot of side lane pressure, allowing 100 Thieves Academy to get these side turrets so that they could keep stacking up these dragons. But we saw there in the replay, by the time it came up to fight for that dragon soul, they were already down like 7,000 gold, plus they got a little unlucky. It was a Cloud Soul. So at the end of the day, that's not even necessarily the best win condition for them. And Tim, you also had an interesting point during the game where you're saying, even though, yes, Armeo was more active early on, Kenvi was just popping off. Like, Kenvi's Lee Sin performance just felt like it completely outweighed everything that Armeo was trying to get done.
Yeah, he played those skirmishes really well, and, you know, in following up, you know, very minor micro mistakes with some really good micro afterwards that shone really well, and just getting fed in general, being so far ahead. We saw him duel out Armeo in the pit there. And yeah, Luger came in with the Ziggs ult to kind of steal the kill, but he didn't need to. Kenby had it anyways. And you know, I just think like I'm not a fan of the way Team Liquid used that Olaf in their comp. I think when you had those two solo lanes, when you had the Camille and the LeBlanc both want to get snowballed, and you have the Olaf who clears so fast, you should not be going for like a 6-minute 30-second or whatever it was dragon and trying to have a dragon stacking win con. You go for that when you've got like strong zone control and counter engage, and you can kind of death ball around it and force them to deny you the soul, or otherwise you're just going to win. And if you stack dragons really early, and meanwhile you're not snowballing your snowbally solo laners, you end up in this situation. Even if they hadn't, you know, given up the snowball against, even if the game was like a 2,000 gold Team Liquid lead at that point or whatever, that's not what they needed. They needed a lot more at that point. So I just really think they should have been playing to top side here, not to bottom.
The meta has really shifted, as you've identified, kind of towards the top side in general. A lot of teams are foregoing these early dragons because you don't need to fight for dragons 1 and 2 if you know you can fight for dragons 3 and 4. If you can get a big lead by picking up the Rift Herald, crashing it into turrets, picking up a ton of money all at once, you're going to be able to fight a lot of these later game fights. And it's important to note that while Team Liquid got 2 dragons pretty quickly, it was also around the 15-minute mark when Ziggs took the mid lane turret and Ryze took the top lane turret, and it went from being a dead even game at 25,000 gold to suddenly a 2,500 gold lead for 100 Thieves, which would allow them to really go for some of these later game fights and prevent the dragon stacking condition from ever coming to fruition.
And even on top of that, if you're the team that is stacking the dragons and saying, okay, now you got to come at us, well, they're going to be very happy to come at you. Ziggs ult is like one of the best tools in the game for contesting, like making it difficult for you to force an objective. Gangplank ult is one of the other best tools in the game for denying that. So you're going to play a dragon stacking win condition against those 2 ults. It is not going to work out.
So then I want to bring it back to you though, Tim. What are we leaning more towards here? Is this then a failure for Team Liquid Academy to identify what their win condition is, or is this praise for 100 Thieves Academy, running them around the map and focusing on the split push instead?
It's a combination of both, really. I think in this case, I don't think you really pin it on one side or the other. I think 100 Thieves just were better in that sense of understanding their win conditions, and they you really split the credit and the blame, I think.
All right.
I really agree, right? You saw 100 Thieves were able to make a lot more proactive plays, but it wasn't a super flashy game, right? There wasn't a lot of big moments where it's like, oh my god, massive plays. Kenby had a couple cool mechanical moments, and of course the Ziggs bomb was really cool looking, but at that point it was not quite a foregone conclusion, but close to it, that it was just the icing on the cake that made 100 Thieves go from a dominant position to a basically unlosable one.
Well, we'll see if 100 Thieves Academy can keep that momentum going forward. Kenby moving his Lee Sin win rate up to over 80% for the summer split. I believe now 5-1 on that champion here. Very impressive performance, and we're getting ready for game number 3 now. It's 1-1 in the series. It can still go either way, and I thought it was going the distance. Let's see if we can get there. Deseric Scrums, take it away.
Thank you so much, Kangas. Desirooks here, Crumbs right there, and we're ready to bring you game number 3. 100 Thieves Academy versus Team Liquid Academy. And now my expectations are kind of out the window. I'm hoping for Team Liquid to at least try and take a different approach than what we've been seeing in the last 2 games, because 100 Thieves just keep coming out ahead when it comes to the early game.
And that is where my expectations are actually set. I'm thinking 100 Thieves is about to smash Team Liquid. If you think back to both games, they have ran the early game twice.
Yeah.
Right? They were very far ahead in the first game, and it was a few mishaps that they really struggled with, and then eventually it got out of hand. They were within 2 fights of actually winning the game, a few autos away from exploding the Nexus. So I think 100 Thieves has had the advantage in both those games. And so Team Liquid, if I'm on their shoes, I'm thinking, we've lost the early twice. We stole a win game 1. We got smashed game 2. We need to change things up a bit more here. And I think that Lee Sin priority will probably be a really important aspect of this game. Instead, they will give you a run back of the first game. First 3 bans and the first champion again. But does 100 Thieves take the lead? I think Kenby had an incredible game on it. I want to see him play it again.
I do know that 100 Thieves like to rush usually their ADC pick as well as their jungler, and, you ask, you shall receive. Lee Sin gets locked in for 100 Thieves. That's not to say Kenby will be playing it, we're really hoping he's going to play it. It can still go to the solo lanes. It is a very flexible pick. And you also got Poom on the Leona, one of his more potent engaged supports to play on.
The best of series always start with an idea of what champions are good, that you prep the night before or the weeks before. And then when you get into the game, the players say, I'm good on this right now. Just give me this champion. I don't care what the prep was. I'm feeling it. The enemy's struggling against it. Just give me this. And following those hunches when they are fine-tuned to what your composition and your team is used to can be so effective. So I do think that this is a really strong pick to give back to Kenvi. And if you pair it with the LeBlanc, you would have a strong mid 2v2. However, we just saw what LeBlanc really struggled with the last game, right? The Rise was a big problem. 100 Thieves do have the option of target banning mid laners to make this matchup a bit more effective. But now they are increasing the burden of execution for themselves, because if the LeBlanc and Lee don't get off to the ground, there is no scaling that will save you like you had with the Rise.
You still have a pretty diverse champion pool in Harry, but of course, calling that down, always a good thing to go for, making sure you can't really get onto something that can fight with this LeBlanc. But given the way the draft is going so far, lots of skirmish over on the side of 100 Thieves. You can tell that they want to take a lot of these game fights, that they want to go around objectives, that they want to roam these lanes and just take it to Team Liquid Academy. Team Liquid Academy, they're running it back to game number 1, and I do like the fact that they are going for that. I like them having the Nocturne, I like them having the Varus, and I like how they worked around having those engage tools.
See, they have engaged tools, but I'm a little worried for the Nocturne here, because normally when I see Nocturne, when I play Nocturne, I want targets that don't have mobility. That means I can jump in and guarantee that I get the fear, and if I get the fear, then I'm going to get a kill. But if the enemy is a Lee Sin, I'm really never catching. There's a lot of ways that he can disengage from me. And if the enemy is LeBlanc, it's pretty tough to actually catch her. It's not like a Gangplank or an Orianna or a Syndra, where if I can get past her initial shockwave or stun, I can actually get the kill. So already you've got two very mobile targets and the big tanky one. So it doesn't feel to me like these targets are so easy for a Mayo to catch. And it's more of a synergy with what Team Liquid already has in mind, as well as comfort from what worked in Game 1. I still think it's troubling, though. As a avid Nocturne player myself, I hate seeing champions that have mobility. In fact, I just will not play him, because it's so difficult to ensure that I can get a kill, and it makes it so telegraphed for the enemy to know who I'm going to attack.
So you can tell 100 Thieves just have their comfort champions now. They have the way they want to play this game. They found their groove as they lock in the Gangplank once again for Tenacity over on the top side. This is going to put Lee Sin onto Kenvi, so we are going to see that high-tempo play that we saw from before, just leaving the ADC to be the final pick in this as Team Liquid, they lock in the Azure.
Locking this in, so just trying to farm and team fight, right? This means that, okay, the Nocturne will just serve as a team fighter tool, as a way to start getting some picks if we can in the side lanes. Peel, it can be pretty effective at keeping people alive, and he won't really die to the LeBlanc with his spell shield, so it's a little bit wonky to see the Nocturne here with the Azir, but they have a lot of damage, and I think that 100 Thieves is just counting on that Tenacity with the Gangplank is something that Jenkins hasn't been able to hold his own with. Last game was a real struggle without the cannon into it, and so here it just tells me that 100 Thieves is back on the same boat. Just camp the top lane and play through the solo lanes.
And I think this can work so well for 100 Thieves. When we've seen a lot of these early games, I'm not going to say it's like a lack of action from Team Liquid Academy. We see them trying to make proactive plays. They're just not really measuring a lot of the risk of these plays, or they're waiting too long before they make these plays. One of the ones you had pointed out before was in game number 1, where we saw the Nocturnal from Armeo come out so late into the game, and it didn't even result in a kill. It results in Luker getting a kill. So the momentum not being on Team Liquid's side early scares me. That it puts me in a mood where I think we're going to see more of the same with 100 Thieves having that early game lead.
That's what I think. And now, a lot of the time, it's easy to overvalue the early game and thinking that because it stomps early, it can actually just mean everything. That if you lose the early game, then you're not so strong. But being able to just hold on is pretty good for a Team Liquid as well, if they want to play that way, to just survive through 100 Thieves' initial, because they will have a stronger team fight just by the nature of the Azir into the LeBlanc, right? And the fact that you have a rel that's going to be so easy to clump multiple members together. But I still need to see them get past the early game, and not because 100 Thieves has been struggling to close out the games, but rather because Team Liquid just hasn't been able to lane as well as 100 Thieves. 100 Thieves has had the better of TL both games before we start to group. So Team Liquid, yeah, you can count on maybe we'll have a stronger team fighting later, but you need to get out of the lane, and that is a job of each individual. That is before team play. We need to see them perform to the level at 100 Thieves is at.
So hitting the Rift, game number 3, we do have a series on our hands. It's all coming down these final games right now. Pretty much a best of 3. Decide who's going to go to the finals and meet Cloud9. Already some shenanigans coming out of Ryoma as he's already going deep into the jungle of Team Liquid, just trying to spot out what he can see. But there's a lot of wards already on the bridge despite these early movements coming out from 100 Thieves.
Oh, yeah, it's 4-man play, double ward hopped over. And now they pretend, oh, look at us, we're just invading. It's only 2 of us. Maybe somebody falls for it. Will somebody actually fall for it? No. Varus spots it out.
That'd be wild. Just an invade with an ADC in support. It'd be a shame if you actually fell for that bait.
It's pretty clever. You know, it could work against a really bloodthirsty team, but TL is just banking on scaling, and they have a really terrible level 1. It's Hail of Blades Varus, but he does so much better when he has abilities that he can start to spam out. And now there is a red ward on the top side from 100 Thieves to see their own red buff. And once they see this happening, they know that there is confidence in this play bot lane. Team Liquid, though, they know that the red invade has already happened. Let's see what kind of chunk they get.
I'm going to go for a trade. Getting a little bit of damage in. Nothing too exciting to go on. We're going to be keeping a closer eye on some of this vertical jungling that's going to come off. Canvey already clearing the red buff. We'll jump over to the Raptors. Well, you did have that assisted start for Armeo, where Jenkins started the red buff. Armeo cleared out the Raptors and headed over towards the red buff to finish it off.
We got ourselves a split map scenario, but Kenvy's not going to stick to that. Instead, he'll go immediately to help his lanes out, looking to maybe collapse onto the knocker. They know he's at Krugs, right? They know that he's there because the war saw him path topside, and Gangplank has priority in the lane, which means that if the LeBlanc pushes up as well, they could completely collapse onto Armeo. Oh, this could be big for him.
This is a little bit scary here. Zenith Blade goes into the bot lane, though. Yan takes a lot of damage, a lot of punishment. Ayla's going to return it. Got to take a look at the junglers now, as they are going to meet. 400 health remains, waiting for that smite to go through. It's going to be Kenvy who gets the smite. Will not land the Sonic Wave, but he's already starting up with that counter jungling. He's starting up by being such a pest and invading, spotting out where Armeo's going to be.
That was actually really scary because the smite was not perfect. It was at 1 HP, but he still had the red buff, right? Had he lost that, that would have been pretty detrimental. But now they're going to fight over this top crab, and now the tides have shifted. Great ward. Oh, he just barely missed.
Ooh, doesn't know he's there. He's watching. He's still got priority on the top side. Tenacity can join. Harry trying to be that figure as well, but has to fight it out with Ryoma at first. As the junglers go to war. Here come the fisticuffs going back and forth. We'll get the fear. Armeo getting him lower and lower. Hopping over the wall will be Kenvy. Not able to find the Q will be Armeo, and the recall will come out of Kenvy. Armeo able to get the better of that. He gets some revenge. He gets Scuttle.
That was a really cute sequence of plays. Armeo did not get spotted by the Scryers, so Kenvy thought he was safe to use the smite first on the Scuttle. And so by using the smite first, then Armeo can show up, outsmite him, get the heal when he's already at a little bit lower health, and then win the fight with the subsequent speed from the Shrine. So it was well played. Really well played by Kenvy to map out Armeo, and then from Armeo to answer back. By the slimmest of margins is he able to outplay Kenvy, but all in all, it results in a pretty even early game. Yeah, you stole the blue buff from Nocturne, but now he actually gets a crab that Lee Sin did not, so fair is fair.
And while all that was happening, Luger and Poom do rotate out and take the bottom side crab. Just knowing that Armeo would go after that right after. So
well,
making sure.
You're kind of trolling your jungler if you don't do that. When you know your jungler has recalled and that he can't make it for the other crab and that the other jungler is going to try to out jungle you that way as a support and AD. You just have to watch out for what your jungler is up to and not let the enemy get so far ahead of you. Besides, it's free golden experience for your own lane, and you're not missing out on much from leaving. So it's good to see that the bottom lane is working in tandem with Envy, despite not being in the same lane.
And Luger and Poom have always been a great bot lane together. Now, Poom is someone has a very interesting background. I don't know if you know this, but he used to play in CSGO when it came to esports. Before he actually got into League of Legends, he did 3 years of that before he swapped off.
I did not know that. Was he any good at CSGO?
I don't think he got too far into it. He ended up switching to League of Legends. A lot of people, when they recognize Poom, they usually recognize him from the Tyler 1 Championship Series. Him winning that and getting the MVP is what really inspired him to try and pursue League as a full-time career.
Well, you look at that. The TCS bringing up players from across esports genres, and pretty good. Pretty good.
And if you want a little bit of the meme, Luger is technically from the TCS, just a different TCS, the Turkish Challenger Series.
Oh, okay. I thought, all right. You had me there. You had me for a little bit. But look at how diligent this bottom lane is. They're jungling for Kenvi, right? Kenvi can do his thing, just farm, find Nocturne. The bot lane of 100 Thieves gets crabs, they get dragons, they don't even have smite, they're finding objectives, and they're still up in CS. Right? They're still up in CS and still have been up in pressure because that's what has allowed them to roam up. So already 100 Thieves' bottom lane is putting in work.
And now I'm watching Kenvi. He's headed up towards Armeo, who's trying to prey over on this top side. There's going to be no dive coming in onto Tenacity. Tenacity will be able to stay safe. Envy puts his attention over towards the mid lane. Here come the chains in Ryoma! He gets away from the Emperor's Divide. That's going to give him first blood. A well-deserved one at that.
Beautiful. You want to see these two join. Otherwise, there's no point in playing Lee Sin and LeBlanc. And just at level 6, when Harry's feeling confident, because he has the ultimate, he knows he can outplay it. 100 Thieves get the last laugh. Great move. They're dodging out of the Emperor's Divide, and Lee Sin comes out of nowhere. Just jumps in front of him, and without his ultimate to get Lee Sin out, he knows there's no way out. Still has flash and died.
It feels so good seeing these plays from someone like Ryoma. Just considering, like, we saw his 2020 season when he was in the LCS, and it was a rough one for him. He even admitted that he felt like he needed to go back to Academy to be able to reform himself. Sad thing to see for the OPL vet, but seeing plays like that, you know, you're seeing the life come back into him. You're seeing the power that he can bring to a lot of these squads.
And so much of that is just confidence, right? Going for these kind of plays, and now he's going to do this again. Now,
confidence.
Think back to the first 2 games, Desser. Ryoma has been crushing mid, right? First game, getting the kill, solo kill, and then the turn when he got ganked. Then the next game, when he's playing the Rise, ends up dominating the side lanes. Now this game finds another chain with Envy. Oh, kick flash!
Oh, Kenvi! So fast, so furious! Yan goes down. And now the bot lane exposed. It's time to either collect plates, go get that vision, go get something. 100 Thieves starting fast with this momentum.
They want to go to finals. 100 Thieves really wants to go to the finals here. This team is playing so aggressive here, and Team Liquid has yet to make a play because of the knock. Right? They have a level 6 jungler that just has not been able to compete. Now, though, the Paranoia is up. He's going for the Rift Herald. This should be a free objective. Ryoma is there threatening, but with the Spell Shield, there is not enough damage to actually threaten anything against the Nocturne, so they get this. But now we need to see... Oh, smite. Okay, yep.
Ooh, gonna take it away over the wall. Ryoma's gonna join up. Will not be able to get the ethereal chains to root. Over the wall goes Jenkins. Ryoma gonna follow again, and so does Kenvi. Tries to finish the job, can't do it. Poom joins the fray. New challenger has appeared, but Jenkins will shut that one down. 100 Thieves holding control of the blue side jungle of Team Liquid.
They want more. They want to go for the blue buff, but now Harry's in a position to engage. Nocturne ultimate.
I'm not sure if they want to go for this one, but waiting for that Paranoia to come through. Here he comes over the wall. Armeo going after Poom. Poom gets low, but will survive. Armeo will not, though. Kenvi drops. Harry able to get one kill, but over the wall comes Tenacity, trying to find more with those Qs. Has the backup of Poom, has the backup of Ryoma. Team Liquid, the wiser to this one, just going to take the disengage.
Oh, but something major just happened while all that went down. Luger just died 1v1 to Young. That is... Oh, he's lost a wave in the bot side of the map. The Varus just outplayed the Kai'Sa, and that means that Team Liquid, despite losing that fight at the top side, losing the blue buff, they get a big win from a very important member. The Varus was critical in TL's win in Game 1, and him getting ahead of the Kai'Sa, despite that early death, is a pretty big deal. So he's got the ultimate, and I guess Luger is just feeling like he can do no wrong. Flashes and still gets hit.
Yeah, he flashed around the same time the Paranoia went out. Around the same time the Chain of Corruptions went out as well, so that was a little bit of an unlucky scenario, but great shot coming out of Jan.
Yeah, he cornered himself in the other side of the turret. If you're ever trying to dodge away of skill shots, never go to the small side of the turret. You want to have more room to move. Yeah. Once you commit yourself to that area, there's less places for you to run to, especially at the angle that Varus was at, and so he just has to throw right in the middle, and both ways you dodge are going to get hit by the arrow. So it was a pretty nice shot from the Varus, but Luger, I think, had he dodged straight up, maybe used the heal, going to find an avenue.
Ryoma just engages on a whim, on a heartbeat, and Kenvi is there to follow it up. That is some style in plays coming out of 100 Thieves in the mid lane.
Oh, these two are killing it this game. They are punishing this Azir pick so hard. Yeah, he's even in farm, but he constantly goes down, and it's giving gold over to the LeBlanc and the Lee, which are so deadly. Kenvi and Ryoma, the convo was about tenacity. What about Kyoma?
Kyoma, I dig it. And Team Liquid are definitely not digging it right now because this duo is doing so much work in the mid lane. Harry's not having a good time, and now this is going to enable 100 Thieves to be able to get the second Drake of the game.
He's not having a good time at all. He burned his flash, and now Kenvi will have his own again, while LeBlanc still has it. So any time that Ryoma has ultimate up, he's just double distortioning in, using chains, and it's not enough for...
Ooh, Jan. Yikes, that was a rough one right there. They had Armeo in the back line. He was just waiting for that Chain of Corruptions to go off to set up the Paranoia, but that miss means that was all just a waste of time, sadly enough.
They're using that because there's no flash on the Kai'Sa, and Nocturne is down here. So they're thinking, we need to start using this Nocturne ultimate right now. We're falling too far behind. There's too much damage happening from the mid lane. We need to make something happen, but now, if he wants to make a play, it has to be a counter in the bot side, because 100 Thieves already expect it. They know you would never go for that if you didn't have the Nocturne there, especially now that the Rift Herald got popped down there. But if a play were to happen to the top side, it would take Armeo so long. So now you can see that the Lee is just chilling down here. He's just waiting. He knows that TL is interested in making something happen bot.
Yeah, we might have a bot lane team fight. Shelly heads over towards the tower. We need to crash in on some of those plates. It does hit. Takes all but one. The tower will still stand. You had Ryoma waiting in the wings. Will not find much else. Instead, 100 Thieves take down Shelly, defend their tower.
Oh,
Get Team Liquid to back off, but now they're going for the engage. Out comes the Cannon Barrage. Killer Instinct out of Luger goes right after Jan. Jan will fall all too easy. 2 kills picked up, both going into the pocket of Luger, setting up at 3-1-0.
TL just does not respect 100 Thieves at all. They think that they can just walk up and stay in the area for about a minute and a half, popping Rift Herald, and that 100 Thieves is just going to watch. They're just going to sit there and let you pressure this lane without looking for a play on their own. Tenacity's weak side. There's no point trying to gank the Aatrox. They are looking for blood, especially after Varus burned his flash, and they greed out. They stay too late, and then it's so easy for 100 Thieves to follow up. With the Ona, with the Varus having no flash, it's so easy for them to engage. And they are starting to really run away with this game. 2,000 gold lead, but the pressure, the assertiveness with which they are playing, and the way that Team Liquid has or failed to respond to 100 Thieves' aggression is really indicative of 100 Thieves feeling like they're on top of the world.
Yeah, they look so confident right now. They feel so confident right now. And this is a very crucial thing for them because, I remember an interview with Luger where he was talking about one of the weaknesses that you had with 100 Thieves was their lack of confidence when they started losing games and how they can fall into that kind of deer in headlights mood where they aren't making proactive plays. They're coming into this game confident as all hell, ready to fight regardless over what it is, and that's what you're seeing when Luger flashes in for plays like that.
That is exactly what a deer in the headlights would do. Just stand there while the train just runs at him and he dies, because that's what happened to the Varus. Kai'Sa didn't even have ult, just Gale Force walked up to him and eliminated him, and a Varus from behind is not a threat. This is really going to be hurting TL because he's going to be easy pickings for the LeBlanc. Kai'Sa can take him out, Lee Sin can execute him, and Fiona can just tank his poke and continue to march forward. So Team Liquid really needs to just shake it up. They need some cold water in the face. Here comes the play. They're trying to make onto Fiona and Kai'Sa, but it gets stopped. Oh no. They don't even get a flash. They burn TP, they burn ultimate, and they get nothing for it.
This is what we were talking about, Crumbs. I mean, Team Liquid, they try and make plays. They're not just lying down and dying. They are trying to be proactive, but they're just not calculated with a lot of these. And plays like that, that's why Team Liquid are falling so far behind, as getting locked up is going to be hairy, easy pickings for Luger.
I think the joke is that the play was calculated. It's just that they were not good at math.
Yeah. Hey, my degree happens to be in math.
Oh.
Time to hire me. Try and get me on this, but look at Jan. Meanwhile, he gets destroyed by Kenvi. Over the wall, flashes, gets away from the chain of corruptions. Wow. Just so aggressive is Kenvi time and time again. Throws caution to the wind, takes these plays, gets the kill, gets out.
Varus is a sitting duck. It's so easy for them to continue to just jump this man. He's got flash now, but they won't care anymore because now they have enough damage to continue to go after him. And I gotta ask SRX, what about math do you like? I'm not hating on math. I'm just curious as a person. Like, what do you like about math? Like, what is it about it that you enjoy?
Okay,
I think it's fun too.
I like puzzles, and math to me is kind of like a puzzle, so I actually enjoy doing math equations, and I'm talking like calculus, differential equations, and everything like that.
Okay, yeah, that's totally fine. I was just wondering, because there's not a lot of people that say that, so I think when you get a chance, it's always curious to know, hey, what is it about it? Because I actually think, had I done things differently, that would be a very interesting thing to have learned more.
Yeah, I like working with big numbers. And so does 100 Thieves, as they now get a 4K gold lead at the 17-minute mark, having an 8-kill lead, been very, very active. You can see where those kills are ending up. Talked about how Kenvi takes a lot of those early resources. He's taking them in the kills, 3-1-5, but is delivering a lot of those over in the bot lane as well to Luger, 5-1-0, working on his third item now.
And there's a bag of more kills just walking around Summoner's Rift. But TL might have an avenue here. Nice play.
Ooh, coming in with the Emperor's Divide. They're able to lock down Kenvi. Kenvi using the safeguard, has no other way to get out now. Shutdown going over to Ayla. Well-needed gold for Team Liquid.
That is the one thing that Team Liquid could count on. The overconfidence from 100 Thieves, knowing how easy it is for them to find multiple members of TL and just fight and get kills, even without the rest of the combinations of LeBlanc and Lee Sin. A single member is enough to take them down. So they thought that Lee would be looking for blood. They grouped up and found the kill. It's a good shutdown to take down. I believe the gold went over to the Azir. He got to chain a few more of those, but that's something that 100 Thieves needs to be careful about. They still have to respect that if they don't know where the TL members are, the engage is quite serious.
We saw some attempted engage coming out there onto Jan. Forced to burn the clarity right away. The clarity, excuse me. Cleanse, there we go. Makes a note, they're both blue.
I know. When I play, what do you call it? What's a spellbook, summoner spellbook? It gets really confusing when you want clarity and you get cleanse. You're like, I really would have liked.
Oh, wait a second. But yeah, been really quick with those cleanses. Boom's been quick with those solar flares, so he's absolutely needed to be.
Being quick with cleanse is pretty useful, but now it just means that they can just engage on you again, right? Because you're trying to just trade those cooldowns so that you can continue to engage, and now Harry is dead.
Plain and simple. We're talking about that duo, Genvi, Ryoma. Wherever they go, they bring havoc, they bring death, and unfortunately, Harry feeling death number 4 of this game.
You know, the real danger is that he cannot lane if they don't know where Kenvi and Ryoma is, right? Like, they will dive him 100-0 every time. So it's not a matter of, can I survive this? It's a matter of, I need to know for sure that Kenvi and Ryoma are not grouped here, or else I will just get eliminated. And that's something that's pretty tough to find, because Team Liquid members just cannot move around to find the vision to do so, because guess what? Ayla can't leave Yeon alone. Varus is also in the same position. He's going to get dove 100-0 again, so it's really tough for them to find the time to get the vision necessary to keep their eyes on.
Yeah, this is the boogeyman duo. Both Kenvi and Ryoma walking around, Harry checking under his bed at night just to see if Ryoma and Kenvi are there. And you can see Ryoma preying on Harry once again, going towards his bot side, just clearing out the way for the time being as Team Liquid desperately try and find an answer to the raw aggression that we've been seeing out of 100 Thieves. And the answer might be going right after the ADC. An easy shutdown gets picked up. 100 Thieves trying to find the retort. Out comes the Dragon Rage onto our Mayo, but caught out is going to be Kenvi. Has to flash from the wall to get to safety. Ryoma waits in the wings. Poom gets to his tower. Should be able to find some safety as Jenkins whacks away, can't get him low enough. All that being said, though, even though they got a kill, even though they did some work, look at the top lane. Tenacity is grabbing a brick.
Tenacity getting gold, but all that started because Luger, he wants some of the action. He sees Yeon and wants to go for the solo kill as well. He burned his flash to go take down the Varus too. So when he commits flash forward, that's when the enemy team knows that they can commit to trying to take down the Kai'Sa. She's overextended. It's easy to take her down, and that's when everybody piles in. They don't get many more for it, though. But I do think that getting that turret down, and I'm not sure if it was a shutdown, it will be worth it for 100 Thieves. So now they'll have control of the Dragon area. They can drop wards, and guess what? It's Infernal Soul. It's under 25 minutes, and that objective is already up. So how does Yeon start this off? Because I think he probably lands a W and then flashes in, as the classic Kai'Sa combination is. Yep, there it is. Gale Force flashing away. But he did flash backwards, but it's a lot of damage.
That was a lot of damage coming through both ways. Armeo leads him quite quickly. If he waited a little bit longer, he would have had a better fighting chance with that flash. It did come out while the Paranoia was coming through. But Luger's damage on its own, that was really quick. That was in a heartbeat when you saw Yeon fall.
Well, he is now at 2/3 health. Needs to stick some arrows because 100 Thieves is trying to rush this down. They'll have all their ultimates, so here's their last stand.
Here we go, Armeo popping the Paranoia, trying to choose his target, denying a lot of that vision,
Nice.
and here we go, the engage onto 100 Thieves, catches all of them! A trade so far, 1-for-1, trying to flee out of the engagement is going to be Tenacity, but he falls. Trading damage is going to be Harry. He is strong, he is ramped up, he is ready to go as the Sand Soldiers tear through 100 Thieves. Team Liquid stop the Dragon Soul and take a team fight win after being bullied by 100 Thieves.
Never say die. Team Liquid actually gets a huge wombo. Ayla with a massive ultimate. That was a game-winning ultimate. They got the soul denied. They get the Baron. The gold is dead even. And now you've got the team fighting composition that is back online. They get so much gold from shutdowns as well. That was huge, and all from the back of the Rel. I don't know if 100 Thieves had a chance to see her coming because of the Paranoia, because we get a different view, but boy, that was huge. This is why Rel was banned in the second game. They did not want to let this man do that again.
That was some nasty stuff. You got to keep a close eye on your two-time OPL finalist, Ayla, as he does this engage right here. Catches them all. Oh my goodness, it is beautiful. And the follow-up Team Liquid bring, that is the setup they absolutely needed to be able to take team fight wins like that.
I watched it. It was a Paranoia. They just did not see the Rel until it was too late. The second that she was in range, she flashed in and jumped. And there was just no way to react to that because they grouped up trying to back away. It's the normal pattern. When Nocturne is ultimate, you group up so that he doesn't have anybody to pick off. But then Ayla sees the opportunity. Multiple members grouped up. They don't know where I am. Flash in. Multiple Magnet Storm. Everyone dies.
Something we definitely brought up as this game does go on, the utilization of Team Liquid's tools. How they utilize this paranoia to set up other members to get into these fights. Game number 1, we saw it with Jenkins. Game number 2, we're seeing it with Ayla. And now we're seeing the counter engage come out of 100 Thieves. Harry flashes away. Will get to safety. Cannon Barrage is going off, trying to find more as the teleport goes through. Jenkins in a terrible spot, uses the World Ender, gets a lot of health back. Jenkins is alive! Armeo gets a double! Team Liquid wipes the floor with 100 Thieves in what looked like a disastrous engage. They turn it around.
It's crazy that TL is just out fighting their way in these fights. Harry is overextended. He gets immediately jumped up, but has the quick fingers for the stopwatch, the flash away, and then when Jenkins' TP is trying to join, you can see that Kennedy's positioning himself, trying to kick him into the team, but he crucially dashes to the side, doesn't get kicked into the team, and while he's taking all the focus fire, the rest of the team can collapse, and it's another multi-man Magnet Storm with an Aatrox on top of it, with Azir soldiers just wailing down on member after member. The Varus healing reduction, just everything going right for TL, and they are now in the driver's seat.
And what you're finding is 100 Thieves have a lot of short range. It makes it really hard to fight this front to back with how hard the engage Team Liquid brings. It's really devastating to have to go through them the fight. You have some layer of zone control when you have the Cannon Barrage going off, but with Kenvi getting all those resources in the early game, he's no longer going to be as impactful as he was in the mid game, in the early game. Now we're getting towards the later stages of the game, and Lee Sin does have that fall off. We're seeing it start to happen.
I think that fall off, you can almost always trace it back and at least into the deaths that weren't really that necessary, or the ones where Team Liquid actually managed to outplay in the bot side. The bot try where they caught him with multiple members and ultimates, that was a big one, a big shutdown of gold going over to the Azir that stopped that pressure from being relentless, and that on top of the gold going over to just Team Liquid being able to hold on and survive the side lanes because the Lee wasn't there to dive, that means that this Lee's no longer the threat that he was before. There's enough damage to kill him, and there's sufficient peel from Team Liquid members to actually defer him from going in, especially Ryoma as well. He can't find an avenue to engage anymore, and now Team Liquid just needs to stay grouped, knowing that they just will win 5v5s every single time, while 100 Thieves is still dazzled from that earlier 5-man Rel ultimate. They need to think about how they want to approach these fights, because if they're grouping up, Team Liquid is knocking them down.
Yeah, 27 minutes into the game, Dragon Soul point for 100 Thieves, but that is one of the last big positive things they had going for them. The team fights have been going more and more in the way of Team Liquid, as Team Liquid having a gold lead for the first time in this game. Only 2K, 27 minutes in is not going to be too much, but with the way they've been fighting, it's been looking great so far, and you're having the fall off from 100 Thieves as they try and set up towards the Drake. 15 seconds until it hits the map.
Okay, now 100 Thieves is all stacked together. There's no flank for the LeBlanc. She's going around. If Team Liquid see the opportunity to engage before that happens, that she won't be relevant in this fight.
Ooh, Armeo took a chunk of damage there. Luger was waiting in the bush, able to get a combo on Armeo. So some advantages going over. Ryoma takes a bit of damage as well. And there we go again. Luger goes after Armeo. Will not be able to take him down. Has to flash out. Cannon Barrage to zone out the attack route onto Luger. Now Ryoma jumps away, gets to safety. Gonna take the recall. He does have teleport, so he can rejoin this fight. Solar Flare goes out. It lands onto Jenkins. Armeo is still oh so low. Kicked away is gonna be Jenkins. The teleport of Ryoma gonna get him back into this fight as Harry tries to play the defensive line. Poom jumps in. He falls low. Drake goes over to Team Liquid. Ryoma play this carefully, but Jan is a sniper, and Harry is a madman as he takes down Luger. Your AD carry is gone. Your top laner is gone. Your chances of winning this game are fading so fast if you're 100 Thieves. Team Liquid, they set their sights in the mid lane.
He caught both carries. The Ryoma, LeBlanc, and Luger's Kaisa were instantly given by Ayla, and now they can try to push for more. They have a Varus, he doesn't have a lot of mana. With an Azir here and the way they're posturing, I think they want to end the game.
They're going for the end right here, right now. Ryoma jumps in, falls below half health. Kenvi is deep, uses the safeguard to get to safety. Zenith Blade will not land from Poom. Team Liquid unable to get the kills. Death timers are coming up. Team Liquid cannot end yet. They're not going to make the same mistake that we saw from 100 Thieves in game number 1.
That was well played by 100 Thieves. The double distortion to clear the wave and the stopwatch from Kenvi as well to buy time. They defend their chances in this game, but it is really slipping. They can't poke from the sides. Tavares is matching the LeBlanc. They can't engage. TL has better. And they can't kill Jenkins. He's so strong with the carries not being there to deal damage to him. You just don't want GP and LeBlanc to use damage on this tank target. LeBlanc needs to be finding the carries. And when she finally groups up and joins the Kai'Sa, that is when Ayla strikes.
Beautiful. Jenkins with that World Ender. I believe he has a Gore Drinker as well. Yeah, the regeneration he's able to get in those fights. He falls so low, heals right back up. He's such a hard front line for 100 Thieves to get through.
It's a great itemization when you know that the low DPS from 100 Thieves is not enough to take you down. You need Kai'Sa just constantly attacking the Aatrox, and because you have a LeBlanc that wants to be picking off squishy targets, it's not itemizing healing reduction. So Jenkins can live for so long. And it just means that with no major DPS on him, 100 Thieves just have to think about who they want to attack. But look at how tight they play. They're just entirely grouped. Armeo can split off a little bit more because he got the mobility. But he also has Ayla stun to try to combo off him. This is 100 Thieves just YOLOing it. This is it. Just like, we got nothing else in the tank. Let's try to go for a Baron. They can't even tank it for long.
Here comes the desperation call. Kenvi and Poom fall towards half health. Back off of the Baron. On the flank, Ryoma is waiting. Get it engaged, but Team Liquid, too strong right now, too scary for 100 Thieves to stand in front of, and you'd had to have the recall from Tenacity to meet in the mid lane and catch that super minion wave. 100 Thieves, though, they're going to go for the slippery play here. They're hiding in the bushes. They're waiting for Baron to be started, and that is when they're going to pick their fight. This is a really risky play, Crumbs.
It's guerrilla tactics. They're trying to catch Harry.
Oh, they're going after Harry. Solarflow is going to land, not going to be able to get the stun. Here comes the Cannon Barrage going golden. Paranoia onto Kenvi. Able to run away is going to be Harry, but chasing him down is Ryoma. The chains will finish the job, but Jan has something to say about that as he takes down Ryoma. Now the exchanges keep coming through as Team Liquid keep marching forward. Piercing arrow onto Poom. Poom tries with everything he has to defend his team, but his team is falling to pieces, being shredded and eviscerated. Kenvi, the only one that remains, but with no one to really defending the base. With the inhibitor wide open and broken, the Nexus towers are waiting to be wailed on.
Team Liquid instantly responds to the engage onto Harry. They do not want to be surprised. They immediately send Nocturne flying in to stopwatch buys time, and now they're going to put 100 Thieves at match point. They survive the early game again, but this time it is a cleaner, convincing win from Team Liquid, who outdrafted 100 Thieves when it came to team fighting, out-executed, and when it came to Nocturne and Rel, a combination that has been relevant since Rel came onto the map, since Nocturne was a solo laner. It was pulled off beautifully this time around. That 4-man play from Ayla, I think, was the big turning point of this game. That one at Dragon that denied the soul point, which would have been so important. Noticing the lack of damage that 100 Thieves was facing in the late game was where the game turned.
I mean, you're saying some great plays from all members of Team Liquid as they do have these comebacks, but what always pops out to me, you already said one Ayla, as well as Armeo, what he's been doing in a lot of these fights, trying to keep his team alive. Overall, just him on the Nocturne has been a great pick for Team Liquid. I can't see this pick going through too many more times now. And with the way these games are shaping, Crumbs, I wouldn't be surprised if we're going to be casting the full length of this, going to the full 5 games. It's just match point, but Team Liquid have never had control of the early game.
I want
Thieves, they've been controlling it.
I want to see it go the distance, because it's wild that Team Liquid has lost the early game all of these games, and it's been some comeback plays that they have made just out of better execution that have caught 100 Thieves off guard. And so it is exciting to see a team hold on in that way, but you also want to see 100 Thieves drive those advantages home, like we saw in Game 2. So both teams are really showcasing different styles, and it feels like 100 Thieves have the first hand. Right? They have got the first move, and they cannot afford to make a mistake, let alone two, or else the game slips. But TL is just doing a fine job holding down, living, and finding those few avenues, those crucial picks that give them the gold necessary to then get to the stage where they group and they just wipe the floor with 100 Thieves.
2 comeback games, get them to match point. Can they clean it up, or will we go the distance? Kangas and the Analyst Desk will be back after our break to break down that game number 3 and get us ready for that game 4.